Good evening. We're in John 4. I hope you had a wonderful day commemorating Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. We are again in John 4, talking about 4 words starting with the letter W. The first one is water. Jesus is offering the lady at the well, the Samaritan woman, look, this water that I have to offer you, you're not going to be out here thirsty for this and thirsty for that. No, I'm going to give you the living water. And what does it say? That you will never thirst, but the water that I shall give you shall be creating a well within you so that it will spring up everlasting life. That's what we want. You will never have to search high and low for this next fix and this next high and this next sensation, because the living water will be within us. The Lord promises to have a spring of water that's always refreshing, always flourishing, always nourishing and replenishing. Amen. And the next W word is that as we are continually being sustained by the Lord's Spirit, He wants us to worship Him continually. Everything we do becomes an act of worship because we're glorifying the Lord. Whatsoever ye eat, drink, think, act, do, wherever we go, or we are dedicating to the Lord. And that is in verse 23 and 24. God is the Spirit, and they that worship Him must worship in spirit and in truth. So it is a continual praise party, a continual celebration. Every word is to our God. Everything is to Him. And so that was water, word. And then one of my favorite verses is in verse 34. And I am not talking about people who eat meat. I just prepared dinner for my son, and we had this delicious smoked turkey in the slow cooker. Well, he had it, and I had the vegetables. But I am not talking about, people. In fact, after Jesus appeared to the people after the resurrection, he was hungered. And they gave him what? A piece of broiled fish. Right? And some commentary said graham cracker. But the point is, Jesus ate, fish. It's just that I haven't, touched meat, for over a year. And I'm just being obedient. And I did that as a result of doing the Daniel's denial. And you could read that in the first chapter of Daniel. As a result of that, the Lord gave me wisdom, understanding, counsel, and might in all knowledge and in learning. That's me, Daniel 1:17. But He'll show you something else. We're in a season of denying our flesh and fast. A lot of churches are doing that. He'll show you what to give up if you haven't done it thus far. But in verse 34 of chapter 4, Jesus saith unto them, my meat is to do the will of Him that sent me and to finish His work. Hey, that's my meat. Every time I'm in that appetite for chicken and that type of substance has left me. And who knows, maybe the Lord might put that back in my body. But until then, I'm fine to do without animal products, meat and dairy. But my meat is to do the will of God, and spent pretty much all day, I showed this earlier, reading my Ebony magazine commemorating Dr. King. And this is from January 1986. And do you know that this was the first King holiday that was enacted, right? January 1986, after they signed the bill in November 1983. So I had a good time. But what I wanted to say is that, look, Dr. King was doing the will of God. Look at these pages. It just talks about the timeline of so many of his accomplishments in just 39 years of life. What are we doing? Is our meat really to do the will of God? I know after this, I'm going to run like crazy to see what the Lord has for me to do next. So that's our third W, right? To do the will of God. And then the last W is in chapter 52 and 53. This was Jesus' second miracle, where there was a leader, a man, and his son was sick. And Jesus was like, you know what? In verse 53, so the father knew that it was at the same hour in which Jesus said unto him, thy son liveth. Jesus wasn't even there. He did this at a distance, saying that your son is healed. And the father compared notes and said, man, what time was it that Jesus said it? And then, the man's leaders were like, yeah, it was 7 o'clock last night. Wow, look, Jesus is real. His power is real. Yes, he is. Then inquired he, the leader, of them the hour when he began to amend, when the son became, stronger and was healed. And they said unto him, yesterday at the 7th hour, the fever left him. So that looks like that's maybe the 7th hour in the morning. Whichever, guess what? Jesus healed. Jesus was working the works of his Father. He was glorifying him, and we have to do the same. Whether we are, in the city, in the village, let's be diligent to do the work that he has sent us. Have a wonderful evening, continuing what he has assigned.